Welcome to VLearn Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 14 of Social Problems in India and the topic is Crime and Delinquency. Topics to be covered are crime and interaction, dark figures in crime and delinquency, innate and environmental factors in the family, social environment, policy on crime and delinquency control. Now come to the first topic, that is crime and interaction. The term crime means a form of antisocial behavior that violates public sentiment to such an extent that is forbidden by law. A crime is an act which the public regards as dangerous and condemns and punishes the perpetrators of such an act. Crime does represent a specialized portion of the totality of undesirable behavior, and the borderline between crime and unethical or ignoble behavior is little. Acts which in some countries are regarded as crimes are viewed as only unethical in others. Only when such practices are considered dangerous enough to call for legislative action, they do qualify to be called crimes in any society. Excessive drinking, though considered unacceptable, will not be a legal wrong where drinking liquor is otherwise permitted. Failure to honor one's parents will be unethical but not a legal wrong, that is crime. Juvenile delinquency. A crime is termed juvenile delinquency when committed by a young person under a certain age. The age of the juvenile delinquent is not consistently set around the world. In India, this age limit is set at 16 years for boys and 18 years for girls. The other aspect in case of young person is that there are certain behavior which would not be considered criminal in nature if committed by adults, but they will be taken note as crime if committed by youth. Crime and delinquency. The increase in such behavior has reached alarming proportion. In absolute terms, the loss of life, property and the pain inflicted is reaching quite serious dimensions. These days, on the average, one person is murdered every 17 minutes and 27 females are raped every day. A riot takes place every 5 minutes and 47 persons are kidnapped or abducted every day. A robbery is committed every 16 minutes and 353 hours are broken into and burgled every day, and one theft takes place every minute and a half. When we consider Indian Penal Code offences like murder, rape, kidnapping, abduction, riot, robbery, burglary, theft, cheating, etc., little more than 23 lakh persons were arrested by the police during 1989. Additionally, there were about 40 lakh persons arrested for offences under the local and special laws like Prohibition Act, Gambling Act, Excise Act, Indian Railway Act, Immortal Traffic Prevention Act and Narcotics Act, etc. Dark figures in crime and delinquencies. Police reports. While the crimes discovered by police will depend on its efficiency, there are many reasons why people may be reluctant to report to the police. Some of these are: offense may be trivial, police station may be far away, low confidence people have in the various features of the legal system, fear of harassment from the criminal or his associates, offense may be for embarrassing nature to the victim. Next is causative factors in crime. Although criminal behavior sometimes has its roots in juvenile delinquency, many juvenile delinquents do not become criminals as adults. Further, many criminals have no prior history of juvenile delinquencies, and crime flows out of a wide variety of sources and usually from a multiplicity of alternative and converging influences. In all, about 170 distinct conditions have been encountered. Every one of them conducts to misconduct which may lead to juvenile delinquency or crime in a few years. In any given case, amid all necessary factors, some single circumstances or a few of them frequently stands out as the most prominent. Personal pathology, consisting of physical factors like poor health, chronic diseases, physical deformities, may cause an inferiority complex and impel the individual to seek for shortcuts to compete in this competitive world. Mental factors like low intelligence, neurotic and physiotic disorders may lead to exploitation or compulsive actions or deviant sexual gratifications. There is a possibility of prolonged emotional and social withdrawal, the frustration culminating in an outburst of violent behavior. The emotionally mature individual is one who has learned to control his emotions effectively and who lived at peace with himself and in harmony with the standards of conduct which are acceptable to the group. And from the psychological point of view, his personal whims are largely responsible for his antisocial behavior and he is alienated from those in his immediate social environment. Reality versus fantasy. Stated somewhere differently, since few persons have a completely satisfactory set of experiences from birth onwards or find life entirely to their liking in adulthood, the great majority of normal human beings create for themselves. On the other hand, those with emotional disturbance are unable to face reality, resulting in mental conflicts. Their life experiences childhood onwards might have been such that they have created mental reaction patterns that make it very difficult for them to meet adult responsibilities. They may have suffered from insecurity, rejection, resentment, harsh living conditions, professional failures, and a large number of other unfortunate experiences. Physical abnormalities, as mentioned earlier, and many personality problems of children and adults are developed by physical handicaps or other such abnormalities. Health and diseases. Any mental disease condition which alter the individual's judgment and capacity for self-restraint will affect his behavior, which may take absurd, dangerous and antisocial direction. Sex, murder, arsons, compulsive thievings and instances of crimes which involve a neurotical elements. There is no doubt in personal factors in every delinquency or crime situation in which an individual disobeys a law, but there are also social, economic and community factors commonly termed as environmental factors and which are important in stimulating antisocial activity. We usually think of the environment as his neighborhood, the house he lives in, his family life, his school, workplace and the interactions he has with his friends. These are of course part of the environment, but as a scientific concept, environment must include every stimulus that impinges on the individual structure from the moment of conception, the moment the new life begins. The family is the first crucial group in the life of the child, and no one can say at birth that a child will inevitably become a criminal, nor can it be said that it will inevitably remain a law-abiding individual. Family is the first agency to nurture a child's social and personal growth. Within the family lie tremendous forces for producing or presenting antisocial behavior. This is because it has almost exclusive contact with the child during the period of greatest dependency. From a warm, loving, stable family, the child learns that people are friendly, worth knowing and can be depended upon. When a family is cold, rejecting or neglectful, the child learns distrust, hostility or hatred of people. Structural breaks in family. Structural break in the family, except in case of death, is always seen to be preceded by daily parental quarrels. Much tension and disruptions of peaceful living have quite a traumatic effect on the children. In some circumstances, the break in the family may at times improve the home atmosphere. Thus, the interpersonal conditions of family relationships are very important, and disharmonious families, children too often get pushed from home because of these disturbances. They have to seek outside contacts for resolving feelings of insecurity and frustration rather than being pulled by outside attractions. Child care and delinquency. Working mothers have often been blamed on assumption that a young child needs the mother's constant attention to assure its proper emotional and physical development. This becomes very difficult when she is always a substantial part of the day and returns with nervous and physical exhaustions. Additionally, in adolescence years, when supervision becomes more essential, maternal employment reduces its effectively the ruby, unduly exposing them to unhealthy influences. Poverty in the family. Poverty in the family has been another popular explanation advances as a cause of unsocial conduct. It is true that in a great majority of apprehended children, the economic status of the family has always been found to be low. Conditions of affluence are no such guarantee against law violations by youth as well as by adults. Had that been so, the higher standards of living in the Western world should have reduced their delinquencies and crime rates, and it has not only not reduced them but increased them. Social environment, that is slum neighborhoods. With many people flocking to town and cities, housing has become a problem. Slums have grown to accommodate those who were shelterless, unemployed, low salaried, etc. Crime rates are higher in these deprived sections because it is here that life is not disorganized. There are extra pressures to make a living. People in slums also want to see good things that they see others enjoying. They find that they cannot get them honestly, often because of lack of education or opportunity. The situation creates frustration and tension, and some of them develop an indifference to law and do not see the necessity of obeying it. Earning and schooling. Besides equipping the child to learn the skills to later earn a living, education means development of personality. Through education, the child is supposed to be introduced to ideals and higher types of men who can cater the refinement and broader mental outlook. Generally speaking, middle-class families place a higher value on ambition, on getting ahead, academic achievement, and acquisitions of skills that have long-range economic payoffs are highly appreciated. They socialize their children to struggle hard, exercise self-control, and postpone gratifications and to plan for the future. In the poor class family, children are withdrawn from school because family needs the economic aid of the child. He or she may also be needed to take care of the siblings in the absence of the mother while on work. Negative impact on mass media. There is a growing concern these days that the mass media, which undoubtedly inform, educate and entertain, have also become a source of contamination. It is frequently alleged that newspapers, film, magazines and comic radio, television and movies have been exerting an unhealthy influence, particularly on the children. Sensational reports of criminal activity in newspapers by dealing the modus operandi, that is types and techniques, can affect readers in two different and dangerous ways. It may affect some highly suggestible persons, among whom are many young people, to commit similar crimes, or it may create an attitude of indifference to law and as order through the constant repetition and exaggeration of the details of the crime. Poverty and low income. The vast majority of those arrested and convicted belong to poor economic status. We must bear in mind that they have no one to come between them and the police court when the law is broken. They lack resources, and police as well as other law enforcing authorities are more severe on them. In actual terms, the administrative processes of law enforcement are seen to be quite favorable to persons in economic comfort. If two persons on different economic levels have committed the same offense, the one on the lower level is more likely to be arrested and convicted. Evidently, because of poverty and poor circumstances, the options of the children get severely limited. In families generally larger than the average with little living space and inadequate facilities, the children are driven to seek their recreations on the streets. The daily budget battle often giving rise to frayed tempers between husbands and wife. When there is very little money to provide for the minimum basic necessity of food, clothing, education, etc., impose extraordinary strains on the family. The parents in such situations can take little or no interest in their children, although they have affection for them. Further, because of lack of money, very often the reasonable demands of school-going children are mocked at and education suffers. Now there are some questions on the basis of this session. First is, what is the impact of mass media on crimes? And second is, explain the causative factors in crimes. That's it for this session. Thank you. Happy learning, we learning.